The mystery box. Sitting in the middle of a weed-infested lawn was a lonely and terribly bored 7-year-old boy. That would be me. And I was just staring at the road. But here came something interesting. A man on a motor scooter with a big box strapped on behind him. The man slowed down, passed by, did a U-turn, passed by again, then another U-turn and pulled up right beside me. He untied the big box and set it down beside me and said, "Here you go, kid," and took off as fast as he could. There we were, a boy and a box, always a great combination. I wondered what it could possibly be. It seemed heavy and seemed to be moving. A genie, perhaps. What could I wish for? Throwing caution to the wind, I lifted the box and a big, black, furry thing fell out of the bottom and started running around me in circles, yipping. A dog! There was also a box of milk-bone treats. I was not bored and lonely anymore. In about 30 seconds, Frisky and I had formed a lasting bond of friendship. He ran up and down the sidewalk so fast that I knew he was a greyhound. Nobody could convince me that he was just a mutt. We had left Lassie in Indiana with the neighbors, the ones with the pigs. And I didn't think that I could ever love again, but I was wrong. Frisky ran and bounced and barked and shooed through leashes and pooped all over the yard and had a big appetite, and I was surprised that Dad let me keep him. But he did, and even rigged up a leash on a clothesline so he could run up and down on a fixed course and stay out of the neighbors' yards. I think that Dad took better care of him than I did. Frisky was such a barker that Dad usually had only 2 words for him: shup, pup. Slop. The neighbor's pigs in Indiana reminds me of this next story. Our parents, who were both hard-working individuals, looked for ways to treat us to something nice while still being frugal. Sometimes this would come in the form of a stop at an ice cream place on the way home from church on a Sunday evening. We would each get a small chocolate or vanilla cone. We didn't stop every time. On one occasion, we were approaching the dairy barn, and it had been a couple of weeks since we'd stopped. I was in the back seat, silently hoping for a yummy treat. Silently hoping is significant, as we were taught not to fuss for things, although I was not immune from an occasional fussy fit. But this time I was keeping my composure, hoping. But Dad drove right past my object of desire. My spirit fell as well as my countenance. But then Dad cast a glance at me in the rear-view mirror and grinned. He slowed down, turned around, and went back to the dairy barn. I loved my dad. Sometimes, in order to save $1, we'd stop at the grocery and buy half-gallon of ice cream and a bottle of root beer and take it home. We then gathered around the table, and Mom handed out cereal bowls and spoons, and then began to scoop vanilla ice cream into our bowls. Dad followed after her, pouring root beer into our bowls. Today we would call this a root beer float, but Dad liked to say, "Okay, eat your slop." Doubtless he'd raised a few pigs in his life. "Help! Help!" We did our grocery shopping at the Piggly Wiggly every Saturday. One time I had a little too much to drink at breakfast and had neglected to go to the bathroom before heading off to the store. When we got there and were wandering up and down the aisles, I felt an urge in my body. "Mommy, I need to go to the bathroom." She was distracted with her grocery list. She replied. This time I tapped her on the elbow and repeated my message. "Okay, we'll be home in a little while," she answered. "But I gotta go now." "You'll have to hold it." I was desperate. Holding it was not an option. I began searching frantically for my dad, running up and down the aisles. The dam began to give way, and I called out to anyone who would listen, "Help! Help!" But at last it was too late. The dam spilled over, soaking my pants and leaving a large puddle on the floor of the Piggly Wiggly, adding to my humiliation. Dear parents, when your kids say they have to go now, drop everything and find a way to answer their plea. A bathroom, a back alley, bushes, or a Donald Duck juice can in the back seat of your car. Love, Jim. Old Black Joe. Our church had a song service where we did nothing but sing songs. We were encouraged to call out a request or, better yet, go up to the front and lead a song. We didn't use any musical instruments in our church, so if you chose to lead a song, you had to blow a pitch pipe so we could have 4-part harmony, and keep everyone together by singing and keeping time with your hand. Our songbooks were paperbacked and included some folk songs as well as hymns. At the age of 7, I felt that I was up to the challenge, so I walked up front and led a song that I was familiar with, Trust and Obey. That was my debut in song leading. It went well, and so after taking my seat, I took the next step and requested a song, Old Black Joe. It was in our book, so I guessed it was a church song. But I was wrong, and my request was denied. Shot down in the prime of life, just as I was basking in the glory of my success as a song leader. Later in life, I would have many opportunities to lead songs and be involved in other musical endeavors. If you'd like to hear the song Old Black Joe, you can find it on YouTube. Thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you in 2 weeks for adventure number 12. God bless you.